Hey everyone, so in today's video we're going to be learning about how to write chemical formulas for ionic compounds that contain polyatomic ions. So examples could be nitrate, sulfate, or even ammonium. So if these confuse you guys, don't worry, I'll walk you through it step by step. Okay, so firstly we need to speak about what polyatomic ions are. So polyatomic ions are simply charged groups of atoms that act as a single unit. For example, NO3-, with a negative charge, is nitrate. SO4 2- is sulfate, and NH4+ is ammonium. So they don't appear in ionic compounds, they often appear in ionic compounds and have to be handled just like single element ions, but with like some special rules, if you will. And so some common polyatomic ions are here to the right. I have a table, and there's probably 10 or 20 of them, but those are the most common polyatomic ions you'll find, and normally your teachers, they'll give you a table, so you won't have to memorize them, but be sure to check with them in case you're going to be on the hook for knowing them. So before we can begin naming or providing the chemical formulas for polyatomic ions, we have to go over some rules. So basically, the first rule is you always have to write the symbol in charge of the metal cation, and then once you do that, you have to write the formula in charge of the polyatomic ion. So this is similar to when we in our video for the chemical formulas for ionic compounds, because this is a form of ionic compounds. And then for the third rule, we need to balance the charges using subscripts. And then for the last rule, we need to use brackets around the polyatomic ions if more than one is needed. Okay, so let's go over some examples together. So for the first example, we have calcium nitrate. So let's write out what our given is. We have calcium, which is Ca2+. It has a charge of 2+. And then nitrate is NO3-. It has a charge of -1. So we're going to need 2 nitrates in order to balance the calcium. We want an overall 0 charge. So our chemical formula is going to be Ca bracket NO3 2, and we need the bracket because we have multiple of a polyatomic ion. So calcium nitrate is CaNO3 2. Now let's try ammonium sulfate. So ammonium sulfate, for our given, ammonium is NH4 positive, and our sulfate is SO4 2-. Now, we're going to need 2 ammoniums to cancel out 1 sulfate. So our final chemical formula is going to be NH4 in brackets, because we need multiple, and then SO4. Now, you can write the SO4 in brackets, you don't have to, but the proper way is to not write it in brackets. And so ammonium sulfate is NH4 2SO4. And then for the last example, we have iron 3 hydroxide. So this is going to be a transition metal, and that's why we're given which one it is. But the iron has a charge of 3 positive, or +3, and then the hydroxide is simply OH negative. So we're going to need 3 hydroxides to cancel out 1 iron. So our final chemical formula, is going to be Fe bracket OH bracket 3. Iron 3 hydroxide is Fe bracket OH 3. So now let's just quickly recap. To write formulas with polyatomic ions, we need to first balance the charges. We need to make sure we use parentheses for multiple polyatomic ions. We want to make sure we never change the internal structure of the polyatomic ion. And we have to make sure that we treat them like one chunk when balancing. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you.